Hello and welcome, my name is Myre and this is the Star Citizen Roadmap Roundup for August the 25th, 2021. Alright, so let's just get into it, shall we? So, with the Roadmap Roundup it says, Happy Wednesday everyone. Every 2 weeks we accompany the Roadmap update with a brief explanatory note to give you insight into the decision making that led to any changes. This is part of an effort to make our communications more transparent, more specific, and more insightful to all of you who help make Star Citizen and Squadron 42 possible. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into this week. Alright, so for August the 25th, alright, so a bunch of interesting things here in the tracker. So player reflection. So I'm imagining here mirrors and stuff. We have mirrors in the game like in the 890 jump and the 600i that you walk through and you go, I must be a vampire. Let's have a look and see. So this feature assures the player will see a believable representation of their character when looking into a mirror or other reflective surface in first-person view. Okay, interesting. So is that to say that in third-person view you can, or like with their tech you could with third-person view? How I imagine it being is that, like, you know, when you're in third person, it renders your character once already, so it shouldn't be that much more difficult to render your character again. Whereas when you're in first person, then to save on resources, why would you render your character in third person for the mirror? But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Games like Cyberpunk and stuff offered this or showed this in trailers and tutorials and stuff, and they never actually went and delivered with the whole reflection thing. It's a very expensive thing to do without RTX, which this game doesn't have. But yeah, player reflections. Lean over cover. Implementing the tech and animation needed to allow characters and NPCs to push into cover objects, as well as look, lean, and shoot over them. Okay, so introducing some sort of like almost, I'd like to imagine like a Mass Effect style, like you look at cover and your character runs to cover and then you go into it. That'll be very interesting because this is a first-person game. I don't know if Call of Duty did this as well, but very interesting. I think whenever I see things like this, it reminds me of, I don't know if anybody remembers GoldenEye on the N64, and you'd see all the NPCs doing all these really cool elaborate moves, like, you know, rolling and stuff, and then you're moving around like a Dalek. Like, it's kind of cool to see, like, as games evolve and stuff, you as the player being able to do all these things as well. But yeah, interesting. I wonder how that would change gameplay. And I know we have things like, you know, like Star Marine, and we have things like Theaters of War, which is going to be more fire heavy. So being able to use and utilize cover better is probably for the best. But we'll see. Gears of War also comes to mind, hey? Alright, so system broadcaster. So implementing a system that enables the scheduling of various types of server-wide communications to players. Okay, so system broadcaster, implementing a system that enables the scheduling of various types of server-wide communications. Okay, so like we've had something kind of similar, I would have thought, already with the Invictus events and stuff like that, when you had like the comm alerts and stuff for the Javelin tours and for the Bengal, and you would look around and you would see a screen that would show you stuff. So the system broadcaster seems to maybe perhaps be a more like immersive item in the game that will do that instead of it just being in your character's head, perhaps. Then destructible environments. So this feature will allow individual pieces of foliage to be destroyed, and this can also be used to populate a destruction map to record data about ecosystem destruction. All right, so very interesting. So what's more interesting about this is I remember Brian Chambers, the director of like Foundry 42 in Frankfurt, actually talking about them doing R&D for this back in 2016. He talked about how like they had like a gun and they made a forest and they shot the trees and the trees all splintered. So it's now on the roadmap that this is a feature that they want to happen, and they want to be able to use this to record data about ecosystem destruction. So I can't imagine this happening soon. Let's go ahead and go into the deliverables view here, and then look for destructible environments. So destructible environments. So yeah, so this feature will allow individual pieces of foliage to be destroyed. And okay, so this is supposed to be set towards the end of February, and it looks like work will continue all the way until just before the end of June. That's how much time they've slated for it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's how long it's going to take or how much time they need. So we'll see. Okay. Then we have rivers, roads, and basins. So the work on these features have been shifted slightly, with basins being more closely tied to the work being done on rivers. So in addition, the roads feature will be implemented after the work on a river completes. So it's more or less the same thing, but you know, a river is a river of water and a road is a river of tarmac. So for this reason, these deliverables have been renamed rivers, basins, and roads, and along with having their schedules adjusted accordingly. So let's have a look at rivers really quickly here. Rivers, comma, I can't seem to find it on the thing, but maybe perhaps that's because I cannot type. Yep, I cannot type. All right, so rivers and basins. So yeah, so this work has actually started. We've seen some of this work being done already in ISC with rivers on Microtech. So roads and stuff will tie into this, and it looks like work is well underway and should be done by the end of the year, but we'll see. Okay. Alright, so then in release view, the following card has been added to release view, so laser trip mine tier 0. So implementing laser trip mines into the game, which are explosives that use light beams as triggers. So again, very interestingly enough, very GoldenEye. Anybody remember the proximity mines? That's what I see in my head right now. So when someone or something comes into contact with the beam, the mine goes boom. Alright, so these features have passed their final review for 3.15, and for this reason we have updated these cards to committed and changed their color to blue. Alright, so bombs, okay. Loot generation tier 0, right. Updates for the broken moon map, so we saw some of this. They're going to be expanding the broken moon map, making it a much bigger map in general, so they'll have to utilize scanning to find enemies and that kind of thing. Really cool because they shouldn't be mineable, so the only signals you will find are signals of players. It'll make the whole hunt for players with lower signatures more immersive, more interesting, and more, I suppose, like the Star Citizen portion of the game, because Arena Commander is supposed to be this test bed for the rest of the game, and if everything is localized and tight and you don't need to scan and stuff, then it's not necessarily, you know, like supporting the actual development of Star Citizen. It's its own thing, so it makes sense. And then of course infiltrate and defend missions. So this is when you go into like a bunker, you will now have to wait, and then enemies might come out of like spawn closets upstairs, downstairs, and that kind of thing, and you know, will try and kill you. So cool stuff. Alright, anyway guys, that seems to be it for the roadmap roundup for, again, August the 25th. It looks like this time around, no pushes, no changes and that kind of thing. Medical gameplay, I do not believe has been completely blued up just yet, but let's have a look in the release view real quick before we finish. So let's go back into this scene, real quick. So 3.15, what do we have left to see for the roadmap? So in locations, so the Grimhex Clinic is still tentative and gray. We've got the rest stop clinics as well. We've seen all these in ISC, gray as well. Orison Hospital is also grayed up, so is the New Babbage, and Orison Hospitals as well. And Orison changes too, to add more shops and more things and more vistas in Orison. So these are all still gray for the time being. In AI, so the doctor, nurse, and AI behaviors are still gray. Shops and patrons are also gray as well. We remember from the monthly report they talked about things like this as well as features being worked on, and that there is progress into. So we'll see when that actually gets around. In gameplay, so the Broken Moon map is now blued up and committed. Dying Star will likely have to wait, and I don't think is in here just yet, but at least we'll have one map. Then we have infiltrate and defend missions blued up, as they said, and then we have the physical local inventory stuff still waiting to go blue. The asset manager, the knickknacks thing, now with its own icon there and stuff, now waiting to go blue. Loot generation, so being able to look around and pick up items, is blued up at the moment. It does seem to have that kind of like weird blue hologram look to it for now in this work in progress image here, but yeah, so that's something to look forward to as well. FPS radar scanning still waiting to go blue. most other things still waiting to go blue here. So bombs are one of the things that are now blue. This is for the M2 Hercules, which is, I believe, being released before the end of the year. So, of course, they would need to have its bombs ready to be used. NPC healing, and, of course, the Redeemer, and the A2... Is it? Sorry, I kept calling the M2. The A2 Hercules Starlifter. And the Crusader Ares Starfighter Ion and Inferno. Okay. And then, of course, we have some more weapons. You got the Bearing Size 7 Laser Cannon, the Bearing Size 7 Ballistic Gatling, the Cure Life Medical Tool, and the Grey Cat Multi-Tool Healing Attachment still waiting to go blue. So, yeah, I believe that this roadmap roundup isn't necessarily conclusive to what we're going to be seeing for 315 by a long shot. We'll have to wait and see what happens in 2 weeks' time. So far, it looks like loot generation is blue, but even if that's blue, it doesn't necessarily mean that the physical inventory stuff will be coming until that goes blue. It just means that anything you pick up will go into that, that bag of holding we currently already have. Loot generation, at the very least, is not a dependent feature on the rest of this other stuff. But I would love to see all of this stuff staying with us in the weeks to come, because, this is some of the features that I kind of really want. Other than, multi-crew gameplay and stuff, this is what I want, from Star Citizen. So we'll see. Anyway, guys, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this roadmap roundup, then please feel free to subscribe on our YouTube channel. And you can also catch us live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Myre. You can support us there. You can support us on Patreon and stuff like that. Until next time, though, guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, be good.